Welcome to Something Came from Baltimore, the show. First up is Bmore's own Warren Wolf. We'll get to chat with him and about his new album, Reincarnation.
This song goes out to my late mother, Celeste Wolf. Rest in heaven. This is for you, Ma.
I was trying to get you on my show just to do something, and for some reason you never told me, oh, by the way, I have a brand new album out.
Yeah.
What's the reasoning for being so humble?
Probably my wife. She told me I'm just no better than the next person.
Oh, no. Now, I've seen you at a couple times in Baltimore, and you're always working, and I was like, I got to get him on the show, and I just was coming up with ideas just to get you on there. It's great.
Yeah.
And the album is fantastic. And I guess we should start the interview, huh? We have Warren Wolf on the phone. Warren Wolf is a top-tier jazz vibraphonist who just released a new recording called Reincarnation. The vibes are a staple in the jazz world, like Lionel Hampton, Milt Jackson, Bobby Hutcherson, Roy Ayers, and Stephon Harris. You may think that the vibes are old school and Warren Wolf would be sidelined waiting for projects, but you'd be wrong. Warren is an in-demand musician who is on the short list, working with Chico Freeman, Sean Jones, Cyrus Chestnut, Christian McBride, David Sanchez, and the San Francisco Jazz Collective just in the last couple of months. For Ma is the first single off the Reincarnation album, and it sets the tone for the recording. It's an aggressive and personal piece of work. The whole record is radio ready. Let's find out more about Reincarnation. Warren Wolf, welcome to Something Came from Baltimore.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's really great to have you on here. Reincarnation is the name of your record. It's not a song on your album. What was the reason for the title of that?
The actual reason, honestly, was because I wanted to do something completely different than what most listeners would normally hear me perform. I wasn't raised as a strictly straight-ahead jazz musician. Like my father, Warren Wolf Sr., he always wanted me to play everything from not only jazz, but classical music, ragtime, pop music, Motown, all of those different things. So when I was coming up as a kid in the Baltimore, D.C. area, my dad's band would play around Baltimore, D.C. very often. And the style that they played in that band, I mean, they played a mix of everything. Like this is the mid to late 80s, early 90s. They were playing a lot of stuff by the Yellow Jackets, Anita Baker, and things like that. So that's honestly where my roots came from, playing a lot of soul music, a lot of, stuff like that, a lot of maybe fusion jazz, contemporary jazz and stuff like that. So I wanted to actually just do that again. I've been making straight ahead music and recordings for the past 20 years. I just turned 40 in November of 2019. So I just wanted to look at, what's the second half of life looking like, we just do something completely different.
This song goes out to my late mother, Celeste Wolf. Rest in heaven. This is for you, Ma.
For Ma is the first single, and in my opinion, it just jumps off right away. It kind of doesn't let go.
Before she passed away, she had early retirement. I think it was 2016 she passed. So she had early retirement. So during those years, like right after she retired, her and my dad. So what they would do almost 6 nights per week was go down to their rehearsal place, and my dad would throw on these old Motown songs, stuff from their time that they grew up on. And she will always play like the chords and the bass line or the root of the bass, with the song. So she pretty much taught herself how to play over those last couple of years of her life. Me knowing that she was a big like Motown fan, that sound from back then, I was like, I got to do something. And I wanted to create a song that was slightly like a resemblance of the time that they grew up. So when you're hearing that song, I think the thing that really gives the weight on this tune that kind of goes back to that feel is when you're hearing the tambourine like throughout the song, because a lot of people, they don't really utilize that instrument too much nowadays, the tambourine. So I just wanted to create something for her and using that sound.
This one here is for my wolf babies. Zoe.
First time I saw your face, I was so happy.
Oh, my baby.
First time I held you in my arms, I cried.
My Lord.
The first time you looked at me with your brown eyes, I am just so in love with you.
Sebastian.
First time I heard your heartbeat, mama shed a tear. The first time you smiled at us, we had lots of cheers.
So cute.
The first time you took your first step, I said, shh, I am just so in love with you. Talk about so sweet.
My prince.
Also have Sebastian and Zoe, who are two of your children, which is another family theme. I like the interplay between the bass man, Amani Grace Cooper. I actually believe the one thing about her singing is it doesn't sound like she's trying. In other words, it's so effortless. It just seems like she just kind of comes out of the shower and just started singing like that. It doesn't seem like she has to go through any kind of vocal gymnastics or any kind of work. It just kind of it just goes. It's great.
Yeah, she probably doesn't. I remember her showing up to the studio and she's like, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's go."
Wow, yeah, it's great. And one thing we have in common, I do know the bass man. It's weird to see him kind of do a Barry White vibe and kind of talk down and dirty, but he does a good job at it. I know he would.
Yeah. No, I had to give him one hit. When I called him, I was like, "Dude, I got the perfect spot for you." I mean, we've been talking about this on this for a few years, and I told him, say 3 years ago, I said, "Dude, I'm working on something. Trust me, I will call you," and we finally made it happen.
All right, I got another song I want to talk about, which is Come Dance With Me. I like the fact that it weaves the piano and the vibes together. It's your most quiet and atmospheric song on the record. What was your thoughts on how you kind of worked through that?
Well, the story behind that is my Sebastian and Zoe, their mom, her name is my wife, my current wife, her name is Heather Malone Wolf. She's a wonderful, now retired, but she's a wonderful classical ballerina. She does a lot of choreographing for her students at her job and at our home. I'm always telling her, I was like, listen, we should do some type of collaboration, one day, pull you out of retirement and we can do a husband and wife performance, jazz versus classical music. Well, not versus, but, combine the two. I thought it would be something really cool. But she's says sometimes, she's like, no, I'm retired. I don't want to do that. I'm too busy, blah, blah, blah. So I just decided to compose this tune. This, like I said, Come Dance With Me. I'm determined to get her on stage with me one day. And I wanted to create the song that I feel like will be the perfect melody and the perfect segue into something, that she would really love to dance to. So while I'm playing along with the piano. So the song is basically composed for her.
You have a great gift for beautiful melodies, and you have some voices on the record. Did you ever think of recording an R&B album?
I'm trying to. That's what it's all about. Sometimes I just take a step back and listen to. Honestly, I listen to a lot of what my wife says. I'm like, what do you like about jazz and what do you not like? And she tells me her feelings. And one of the things that that she always stresses to me, what she likes and what she thinks her friends would like, and others, is just to have a strong melody. Don't worry too much about the solos, save that for the gigs. Just get your melody out and get to the point and cut it. And that's one thing I tried to focus on throughout this record. As you notice, I'm not really soloing as much as I normally would on any other record that I would do. So
that reminds me of another question. What you think of the current state today of popular music where drum and bass is not even existent? It's more of a sample.
Yeah.
As a percussionist, what's your thought process of all that? Yeah.
That's just the current trend. I guess a lot of hip hop producers and a lot of people. That's just what they like. It comes to when you say that, the first thing that came to mind was that movie Hustle and Flow. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
And they show for a slight second in the movie when they was creating the track, and it was just all drums and like a P bass or something like that. And it's the same role. Everybody is doing the same. It's just something that it's just a trend right now. Until I guess somebody else eventually will have to come out and do something different. I recall seeing this clip on YouTube with Snoop Dogg one time, and he was saying how a lot of rappers are rapping. Well, he didn't say this one part, but I'm saying it like in musician terms. How musicians a lot of rappers are rapping in a triplet form. One, that's the triplet form right there. And a lot of rappers are using that same triplet rhythm and just, putting words over it. And you can probably pick out at least 25 guys right now who are doing that. And Snoop said it in this video. Everybody sounds the same, and it's carrying over to the whole drum and bass thing too. So, yeah, pretty interesting.
Now, on the album cover, you're showing your guns. You're working out. Where do you work out in Baltimore?
Right now, I just switched to a gym called Anarchy Gym. It's a big powerhouse gym full of big muscle heads.
Really?
And
when you work out, what are you listening to? What do you have on your?
Of course, I have to listen to something to feel good. Just to get through it. Also a lot of times when I'm working out and I'm listening to music. That's also really enough. It's kind of like my practice time as well, because I'm just listening to stuff, analyzing things like, okay, what could be used on a future record, or just what can I do to arrange a particular song or things like that. But I'll listen to a lot of stuff from, a lot of stuff that I'm kind of listening on repeat right now is things like D'Angelo, Mint Condition, Evanescence, Mars Volta, a lot of Tupac Shakur. Yeah, stuff like that. So
the reason I asked about your workout, I look at Reincarnation, it's very soul-centered, and it's soulful, but I meant soul-centered as in like it feels like you're in a good spot, like emotionally. I was like, well, where are you getting it? Is it from your music, or is it from your gym work, which a lot of people, are able to feel centered through that? I was trying to figure out where that's coming, or if it's a combination of both.
It's a combination of everything. Where I am in my life with my wife, my kids, from the music education side, Peabody Conservatory in San Francisco, Conservatory of Music, to SF Jazz, my own groups, to all of my kids, family, the gym, all of that good stuff. I just feel like I'm just at a good place in life at the moment. So
you started at 3, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you can think of it back then, but what was it that got you excited about music and for you to basically spend your whole life in it?
Absolutely nothing. Just to be honest, I wasn't excited about music until I got to middle school. My dad, again, he was a history teacher in Baltimore City Public Schools. He taught United States and world history, and to have a 3-year-old practicing the way I was, I won't call it torture or abuse. It wasn't anything like that. It's just personally, I just didn't like it. I didn't like going down in the basement and, just looking back on it. I didn't like being focused so much. However, I'm very grateful for the lessons that my dad gave me when it comes to practice. So as the years passed, I started maybe to like it. It's like I knew it was something I could do, and I knew I was talented for a kid at my age. But when I got to middle school, I remember we had a middle school assembly, and we played, I think, in our quote unquote jazz band. I mean, it was a jazz band. We just weren't playing any jazz. We played the Eye of the Tiger, that theme song from the Rocky series. Survivor. And a lot of my classmates, they just stood up and they was like, yeah, Warren, you sound awesome. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. If I can get this reaction from them, I wonder what can happen if we can, if I just keep going. So I had no idea what was happening with my music career or where it was going, even after that moment, because after that I went to the Baltimore School for the Arts, and we had really good jazz band there, but I was primarily playing classical music at the time, so I had no idea what was taking place or what was forming. So I guess the mad scientist, aka my dad, he had a plan.
He Tiger Woods you.
Yeah, he definitely had a plan. He saw a vision. I mean, little things that he used to tell me all the time. He was like, you know, if you continue to do this, you'll make money, you'll be able to tour the world, people will love you, and you'll be able to, you know, just have a nice, simple life.
Wow.
He was like, I want to set you up with something because, again, growing up in Baltimore City was pretty rough, especially in the neighborhood that I grew up in. You know, not a lot of musicians, especially in jazz, come from areas like how I came from. I grew up in, you know, in a pretty rough area where there was lots of drug-related activities, murders, and things like that. So, but I was so thankful for my dad and my mom for bringing me. And I have two older siblings. I have two sisters, and I was thankful for both of them to bringing me out of that and keeping me straight. So.
When I did the intro, I mentioned all these artists that just in the last like 2 months that you've worked with in the Baltimore area. You had Chico Freeman and Sean Jones and Cyrus Chestnut and Chris McBride and David Sanchez, and you had even more than that. I just picked up names that people would know. Who is really easy to work with? I mean, you're doing a lot of collaborational work.
It's kind of hard to figure out just one person. Somebody who just comes in and just nails it. Probably Sean Jones. Many years ago, I did some gigs with Jazz and Legacy Center with Wynton Marsalis, and Sean was in the band then, and we kind of crossed paths then. I mean, we did cross paths, but we didn't really talk too much. We said, hey, and kept it going. And then eventually, I did a couple of live recordings at the Detroit Jazz Festival with the Mack Avenue All-Stars, and I remember the front line for that was myself, Sean Jones, and Kurt Whalum. And
well, that would suck.
Right. So that was fun. And then, you know, Sean and I, as we got closer, just over the years, we started doing small little things. And then all of a sudden, when the chair position for the Peabody Conservatory job became open, Sean and I were the last two runners, you know, last two people for the job position. But Sean, he got the job over me, which is all good. You know, love that brother to death. He moved to Baltimore. It's been open arms, and we became like super close. Me and Sean, we just hung out just a couple weeks ago. We just unfortunately watching the Ravens lose, and the Baltimore Ravens lose the playoff.
Yeah, they got clobbered.
Yeah, that's it. I'm moving on past this.
Yeah, it's painful. Thank you, Warren Wolf, for visiting Something Came from Baltimore. Your album is called Reincarnation. We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Coming out February 28th.
Now, what did I tell you? This brother laid out on many levels with some groove, funk, and sensuous balance. If you didn't know, now you know. What's his name? Warren Wolf. Now go tell somebody.
Thanks for listening to Something Came from Baltimore, the show. Now on Box.com. Check us out next week where we're chatting with Kat Edmondson. And we're going to finish off this show by playing one of her tracks.
Makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. If your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, as dreamers do, weave, 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 weave. If your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Weave, 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 weave. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Dreams come true. Dreams come true. Dreamers do. Dreamers do. Dreamers do. Dreamers do.
You can listen to Something Came from Baltimore anytime since it's a podcast. And we're on iTunes, Anchor, and YouTube, and tons of other platforms. Subscribe and stay in touch and be a part of that Bmore Music Scene.